I'll do a quick countdown just for old time's sake for our Metro Nashville network, which is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Today is Monday, April the 3rd. This is the meeting of the Metro Council's Planning and Zoning Committee. I show that members present, in addition to myself, are council members Bradford, Gamble, Hager, Parker, Vice Chair Rutherford, Sepulveda, Toombs, Van Rees, and Welsh, which gives us 10. It's great attendance, and we'll see if anyone else joins us. I have most items are on our agenda today are of the very tongue twister, but very necessary sanitary sewer main easement types of things. So most of our items are on consent for today, unless anyone has an item to be removed from consent. Item number 1 pertaining to redistricting, we can take up at the end after we go through the consent agenda, unless there are any objections. So I'm not seeing any hands raised to pull any items off. So I'll get started with the items that I have on consent. This begins with item number 2, Resolution RS 2023-2088. Sponsors are Councilmembers Roten and Withers. Approves the Fourth Amendment to the lease agreement between Metro Government and 404 James Robertson Property, LLC for office space in the Parkway Towers building. Item number 3, Resolution RS 2023-2095. The sponsor, Councilmembers Withers and Pulley, authorizes MCBC Downtown LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 104 Representative John Lewis Way South. Item number 4, Resolution RS 2023-2096. The sponsors are Councilmembers Roten, Withers, and Pulley. Approves a participation agreement between Metro Government and acting through Metro Water to provide improved public sanitary sewer service through the construction of an improved stormwater system. Very key word. For bills on second reading, item number 5, Ordinance Bill 2023-1784. The sponsors are Councilmembers O'Connell, Roten, Withers, and others. Approves a participation agreement and temporary construction easement between Metro Government through the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation and 1000 2nd Avenue North, LP, for improvements within a portion of Greenway. Item number 6, Ordinance Bill 2023-1785. The sponsors are Councilmembers O'Connell, Withers, and Pulley. This authorizes CB Ragland Company to install, construct, and maintain aerial and underground encroachments in the right-of-way located at 118 12th Avenue South. Item number 7, Ordinance Bill 2023-1786. The sponsors are Councilmembers Furcher, Withers, and Pulley. Authorizes Metro Government to accept new public water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assemblies, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for property located at 2239 Edgeoe Lake Drive, also known as Canyon Ridge Phase 5. Item number 8, Ordinance Bill 2023-1787. Sponsors are Councilmembers Withers and Pulley. Authorizes Metro Government to accept new public water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assemblies, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 2 properties located at 4927 Buena Vista Pike and Buena Vista Pike Unnumbered, also known as 4927 Buena Vista Pike SP Development. Item number 9, Ordinance Bill 2023-1788. The sponsors are Councilmembers Sledge, Withers, and Pulley. Authorizes Metro Government to abandon existing sanitary sewer sanitary sewer manhole and easements for property located at 155 Lafayette Street, also known as the Tennessee Justice Center. Item number 10, Ordinance Bill 2023-1789. Sponsors are Councilmembers Taylor, Withers, and Pulley. Authorizes Metro Government to abandon existing sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements, and to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 5 properties located on 41st Avenue North, Clifton Avenue, and Indiana Avenue. Item number 11, Ordinance Bill 2023-1790. The sponsors are Councilmembers Toombs, Withers, and Pulley. Authorizes Metro Government to accept new public water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assemblies, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 3 properties located at 839 West Trinity Lane and West Trinity Lane Unnumbered, also known as 839 West Trinity Lane Townhomes. Item number 12, Ordinance Bill 2023-1791. The sponsors are Councilmembers Sledge, Withers, and Pulley. Authorizes Metro Government to abandon existing public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, fire hydrant assembly, and easements, and to accept new public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and fire hydrant assembly for property located at 2212 12th Avenue South. And finally, item number 13, Ordinance Bill 2023-1792. Sponsors are Councilmembers Withers, Pulley, and Lee. Authorizes Metro Government to accept new public water main and fire hydrant assembly for property located at 1620 Corporate Place. Do any of those items need to come off of consent for any reason? No one seems interested in that. If I could call on Vice Chair Rutherford for a motion.
I move approval of the consent calendar.
Wonderful. We have a second motion, probably seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. That has cleared off all of our calendar items except for item number 1 for redistricting. I think everyone will recall that we had a lot of discussion in a special called committee meeting last time. At that time, the vote of the committee was not to consider amendments or substitutes that had been offered. The planning department had advised us a few times during our committee meeting that if we did not provide them guidance about which set of maps to, or what kind of a configuration to draw, that they would produce a map that had a 15:5 configuration. Following morning, I followed up with Director Kemp and asked if the planning department could also produce a map configuration for 17:3, and my reasoning for doing that is that the resolution that is before us specifically mentions that 17:3 option, and so if we're going to have a public hearing on that, which we decided we would do, it'd be good at least to have a map of 17:3 so people could consider that. So Director Kemp worked with her staff to produce a 17:3 map configuration for comparison. I think that a couple of our members who submitted substitutes sort of hit the jackpot by acclamation by saying, can planning just draw us some maps? And I think another version also said, can you do 15:5 and 17:3? And so congratulations to you. Like you got your wish, even though it was not necessarily voted upon. But I hope that that's been helpful. I did just now receive an update from planning, and we do have Mr. Logan who's here, but I will not place him in the hot seat on that. Obviously, we do have some of our planning department staff who are traveling at the American Planning Association conference, and we have other planning staff members who are we have 2 public engagement events going on right now, one at the West Police Precinct and one at Southeast Regional Center, so that those staff are definitely needed there to work with the public for that. So we don't have staff who are here to speak on this. If I may, and then I'll go to Director Darby for a little bit of a recommendation, but just I know we do have a lot of interest in this. So the memo that I received from planning just now for a status update is that they wish to provide a high-level overview of the outreach through last Friday, as well as remaining next steps. Do want to please remind everyone that online commenting at the redistrict.nashville.gov website is open through midnight tonight, at least for the first round draft maps. So if folks haven't had a chance to do that, please go online and do that. And again, as I mentioned, staff will also be at the West Precinct until 7 and at the Southeast Regional Community Center until 8. So far, for public outreach and input, the in-person meetings that have been held have been at Hadley Park Community Center, which had 66 visitors. Sunny West Conference Center on Tuesday of last week had 16. It was a little bit of a slower day, but I also know that many of the events related to the Covenant School shooting were very much top of mind for a lot of people that day, and still, but especially that day. On Wednesday, the engagement at the Southeast Community Center had a little bit of abbreviated hours because planning wanted to close a little bit early to allow the public and staff to attend the vigil that we held here. But so that Wednesday, Southeast Community Center, there were 24 visitors. Madison Library on Thursday, is that right? Madison Library had 56. I know it was well attended, so many of council members that were present as well. In-person comments that were received, folks that attend the in-person events are provided a survey where they can provide a written response at that time if they wish to do so. As of today, 77 surveys have been returned. Online page views of the redistrictnashville.gov as of March 31st were 7,700 page views. Online comments, 185 online comments have been submitted, not including today. Next steps, Today, we're closing out the public input on the first draft of maps as well as online. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., Metro Legal will have the hearing versus the state. Tomorrow, we are scheduled to have a public hearing at our council meeting tomorrow at 6:30. It's anticipated that on April the 5th, a second round draft of maps will be released, and that there will be a public input session at the Sunny West Conference Center from 12 to 7. Then on Thursday, the Metro Planning Commission has scheduled a special called Planning Commission meeting to consider the maps. Again, this is with the goal of being compliant with the state law. If the court does issue an injunction prior to the start of that council planning commission meeting at 4 p.m. on the 6th, then all that work will cease and we'll go from there. But I appreciate Metro Planning sending that update just to give us all a sense of how engagement has gone to date, at least in terms of the number of citizens and residents that have been reached. So having said that, if I could ask Director Darby, just want to make sure that that I'm clear on this. Right now, we are scheduled on our agenda to have a public hearing on the redistricting at our meeting tomorrow. And so as it relates to this legislation, the resolution that's before us, whether or not we were to take up any of the substitutes, if a deferral motion were made in our committee for some reason, how would that affect the public hearing?
So can you hear me? Okay, so if a deferral for one meeting is made in committee, it's an automatic deferral on the floor tomorrow, which would mean there would be no public hearing because the resolution would be deferred, upon which the public hearing is to be held. So if there was a deferral in committee for 2 meetings, then that automatic deferral would not take place and we could go forward with a public hearing tomorrow. And if at that time a deferral was requested, a deferral for 1 meeting could be requested on the floor.
Does anyone have any questions about that? And like I said, I just wanted to provide some background before we take up the resolution, because we could get into discussion, and just want to make sure that everyone understands that. So, Councilmember Parker, did you have a question for Director Darby or anyone else? Or? Okay. So, any other kind of background questions for right now? If not, I will. Councilmember Johnston is the sponsor of this resolution, but it's not on our committee. Would someone move the resolution at least for discussion purposes? Okay, so we have a motion and properly second to have it before us for discussion. Let me recognize the sponsor if I may, and then we can get into committee deliberation. You're recognized.
Chair, I'll defer to you on how you would like to proceed. Planning has already drawn some maps, so in a lot of ways, this resolution is a little bit irrelevant, but I'm happy to have whatever conversation you'd like to have around it.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Johnston. Let's see, so I'm going to try to go in order. So I think I had Parker first, and then Bradford, and then Mendez. Any others? So let me... All right, Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move a 2-meeting deferral.
Okay. We have a motion for a 2-meeting deferral that's been properly seconded. Any other discussion on the deferral motion? Would anyone like to speak to that? Councilmember Mendez.
Just because our friends at the state like to watch videos of meetings, I think it's worth and have tried to, in their briefing, say, oh, everything's fine, Metro's going forward. I think it's important to say that the Metropolitan government, especially the planning department, is working at full speed to take care of everything that they're ordered to do under the state statute. However, the Metropolitan Council, as Metro Legal told us a bunch of times in the last couple of weeks, is under no obligation to act on anything this week in advance of a map coming from the planning department. So I appreciate you calling me when I'm not on the committee. I support the motion for a 2-meeting deferral. I think The state law requires Planning Commission to act first. Let's go ahead and let them do that. Just like 2 weeks ago, the bulk of what we're hearing from the public is slow down, give us more information. So I support the motion.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Mendez. Anyone else on the deferral motion? Councilmember Rutherford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just if we could, for clarification, have Ms. Darby explain to us the impact, if any, on the public hearing if we defer here in committee.
Go ahead.
A two-meeting deferral will not be an automatic deferral on the floor. So you will still be able to, the sponsor will still be able to open the public hearing and hear from the public about the resolution and any of the substitutes. After the public hearing, someone from the, on the floor, a member could make a motion to defer again if they wanted to. So you're not bound by the two-meeting deferral on the floor tomorrow night.
Okay, anything else, Councilmember Rutherford? Anyone else on the deferral motion? Councilmember Allen?
Just a procedural question. So if I understand the act correctly, we've ultimately deferred to the Planning Commission to make some decisions about what maps to put in front of us. So if this resolution never passed, would it be possible if we chose to that another resolution just about the maps that we have before us could be filed before this one gets resolved? And so we still have lots of options in front of us in terms of trying to be responsive to what we hear from the public.
Yes, I think that pursuant to the act, the council would file a motion to approve one of the maps or whatever the members desire to do, and then you would need to take a vote on the floor at some future date, whether that's at a regular meeting or a special meeting, to either vote the maps or map up or down.
But we have that choice sort of regardless of where this particular resolution is in its process.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councilmember Mendez on the deferral still. Go ahead.
Just to underscore that point, unlike our normal redistricting where we're required to go up or down on what planning proposes to us, that's, if I'm understanding right, Director Darby, we're not limited in any way on an up or down vote, whatever comes out of planning. So literally every conceivable option is on the table if we just wait to see what we get out of the Planning Commission.
Yeah, yes, the state law did not revert back to our charter when it came to telling us how to vote on the plans.
Councilmember Toombs. Oops, Gamble. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Chair. Procedural question. So if we defer 2 meetings today and no one defers the public hearing tomorrow, will the public hearing be based on the 2 maps that planning has provided during the public input? I mean, will it just be based on that, or a public hearing can be based on whatever the public wants to say?
The public hearing should be based on the resolution as presented tomorrow. The public hearing is for this particular resolution.
So if we do not move this resolution today in committee or tomorrow on the floor, does that void the public hearing?
Presumably, like other public hearings, the sponsor will request that the public hearing be opened once called upon by the vice mayor and recognized by the vice mayor.
Okay, so we don't have to have any committee reports or anything to open the public hearing. It can open, and then any action on the resolution can be taken after that.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, great question. Anything else? We're much quieter today than we were a couple weeks ago. So, but again, I want to thank. So we have a motion for a 2-meeting deferral that's been properly seconded. Not seeing any other discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Well, again, I do want to thank council members I've seen many of you that have shared about the in-person engagement opportunities on your channels with your constituents. I've tried to get out to as many of them as I could, at least for a couple of hours, and I've seen many of you out there. So I appreciate everyone's hard work at trying to hear from the public under these circumstances. But we'll see how things go tomorrow. So with that, I believe that the business of our committee is concluded and we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.